to the ANS Way. Today's video is with me in Washington DC. I'm here for a work trip and have a couple of hours spare, so I'm going to check out the city, as much of it that I can do in a couple of hours. I'm sure that's not enough time to visit properly, but it's all I have spare and I'm going to share that with you guys. I'm staying at the Washington Hilton. To be honest, I don't really have my bearings at the moment, but with only 2 hours spare, I've decided to go to the Lincoln Memorial, and in that area there's the Lincoln Memorial, the White House, I believe the Capitol building is there as well. So I figured I'll grab an Uber, go there. I think it's about a 15-minute drive from here, and check out the sights. Made it, and it is a very different city. This is one of the things we've mentioned on many of our videos, and I've mentioned on my last trip to Charleston. So if you haven't watched that, I shared my work trip to Charleston in January. Loved it. Not somewhere I would have actually picked myself to visit, but really enjoyed it. And this is one of the things I love about my job here in the US, that I do get to travel to places that I wouldn't necessarily pick myself, and like Washington DC. So here I am, and I'm starting my first stop at the Lincoln Memorial. I mentioned to my taxi driver that I plan to go from the Lincoln Memorial to the Monument building and other places, and he said, well, you know, be prepared to walk far. So I'll see how much I'll actually get done in the time that I have spare. First impression is that it is extremely incredible. Yeah, very, very impressive building. The whole area is pretty impressive actually. Yeah, really, really nice. I was actually, so last night when I was going from the airport to the hotel, we drove around this area and it was all beautifully lit up. And the thing that, the series that came to mind was House of Cards. It just made me think of the scenes where you see them running out in the park and all the visuals that you get in that series. And to be honest, being here, it just makes me think a lot about all the films you watch, because you do see it so often in American movies. So just to be here in person is really, really incredible.
All right, good. Yeah, me too.
Plus, if you read the behavior,
my knowledge on American presidents is not that great, but for the viewers that perhaps do not know, this memorial is for the 16th American president, American Lincoln. So this is his memorial, and he had a lot to do with the civil rights movement and racial relations. And in fact, he was the president that was mentioned when I went to Charleston and visited the plantation there, and a lot about the history of what happened with rights. So for me, it's a nice link to go from what I learned in Charleston to coming here to seeing this memorial. Next stop is going to be the Monument building, which I'm sure if you can see it in the background there. Looks pretty far, not too far. It looks walkable, definitely looks walkable. So that's my next stop. And then my plan after that is to head over to the White House. You might be thinking, why Anna hasn't joined me yet again, especially after Charleston when I said he really should have come. I don't think we even really discussed this trip, because it really was me flying in last night and I'm off Friday, and it's the conference every day, and it really is just a short period that I've got spare. I'll be in the conference out with customers, so there's not a lot of spare time, and I actually don't think we discussed him coming here. Perhaps it's not, as I mentioned earlier, somewhere that either of us have ever said wanting to go. So maybe that was the lack of the appeal. also I wasn't really sure what the weather was going to be like. It didn't look that great, and actually it's fine. It's about 16-17 degrees. Not, I wouldn't say it's warm, but it's definitely not cold. But Ant's definitely in the better position this trip because it is 24, 26 in Vegas today, so I have no doubt that he is enjoying the heat in Vegas at the moment. As I'm walking, I realise this whole area is just full of different places and monuments, memorials to visit. So there's one for Martin Luther King Jr., there's one for the Vietnam War, and right now I'm walking through the World War II Memorial. I have to say all of it is pretty impressive. And I've made it to the Wahington Monument behind me. Not entirely sure why I started calling it the Monument Building, but that's just something I do every now and then. Just calling random things new things. But it's the Wahington Monument, named after George Washington, the first president of the United States. It's an incredible walk. The whole place is really nice, super clean, as you would, I guess I would expect it for Washington DC in that sense. It's a place that I would expect to have these historical building sites, well kept, and just really nice. Lots of people out running, lots of people, tourists around obviously, but not super busy at this time of year. But yeah, I'm really enjoying my walk around DC. In terms of the Wahington Monument, it is something that you can buy tickets for and go up to the top, and I've seen online the pictures of the views that you get, but you do have to book it online in advance. I think there's scheduled times that you can do it. Obviously I just didn't really have time, so that's the reason I'm not doing it. Most of the places you can go around here are free, but some of them, if you want to do tours, there's a fee that you need to pay, and quite a few of them you have to book online, so you can't do it when you're here, which throws a lot of people off. I believe there are tours that you can do of the White House too, but though that is something that you really do need to request at least 21 days, I think, in advance. Again, if it was something that I knew I was coming to do in a more purposeful trip in terms of me taking time to visit the place, something I would definitely choose to do in the future. Something a bit random. So last night as I was flying into DC, I couldn't help but notice all the flashing lights. So normally when you come into a city at night, you will notice all the lights in the evening. But what I noticed in particular about here was that lights were flashing across. And I started looking, I was thinking, oh, maybe it's always done that. Maybe lights often like flicker, and they've always done that, and I just don't remember because I haven't been traveling as much. But then I thought, no, I've traveled for so many years, I would have noticed that. So this was quite noticeable, lights going on and off. And then when I arrived and my taxi driver was taking me back to the hotel, I realised why, because at night they had lots of armed vehicles, police vehicles, unmarked vehicles with their lights flashing and sectioning off streets that you can't go down, and there were buses as well, so lots of different types of vehicles across the city with flashing lights. And I thought, oh, that will be why I could see all the flashing lights up from the sky. Anyway, random bit there, but I was very confused when I was up there thinking, why is this happening? I have been basically using Google Maps and the park directions to assist on where I go on this short trip. So I started at Lincoln Memorial over that way. Behind me I've got the Wahington Monument. In that direction there is the Natural History Museum, something I would definitely choose to do if I had more time here. And then if you continue along that way, there's the Capitol building, and that was something that I thought I would go to, but that's a good 30 minutes in that direction, whilst the White House is in that direction over there. So I think I'm going to head over to the White House, because to me you can't come to DC and not see the White House, so that's a key thing for me to have to do. So I'm prioritising that, and yeah, I'm not sure what else I'll get to do, but we'll see. Oh, and I know that the taxi driver warned me of walking. It's not that bad at all. I think, and I was walking really slowly from the Lincoln Memorial to Washington Monument, it took me about, I don't know, 10-15 minutes. It really didn't feel that long at all. Maybe because I was messing around most of the time with pictures and videoing, but yeah, it's really not a long walk. They say you can judge a lot about a city from its taxi drivers, and I say that personally as well, because when you travel a lot and you jump in these taxi rides, the taxi drivers are often the first people you meet from that city or country, so it's your first taste of what the people are like. And one thing I would say, going to Charleston, immediately super friendly, super chatty taxi drivers. I think we found the same in Austin as well. Very chatty, very friendly. Here, I've had 2 taxi drivers, perfectly nice and friendly, but definitely do not talk as much or anywhere as close as sociable as the others have been in, say, Charleston and Austin. So just some things that I'm noticing in terms of the differences between the states. Here, yeah, I would definitely say a lot less friendly. It's hard to explain. I'm basically saying I sat in silence for my taxi drive home, which was a bit awkward. Saw these food trucks as I was walking. So it was almost enticed by getting some lunch, but wasn't really sure what I wanted. And it's because this is the thing, it's a 3-hour time difference between here and Vegas. So I wasn't really that hungry just yet. So I thought I'd check it out. Looks like a great spot to get food whilst you're doing the walk through the capital. It would seem that most of my trips at the moment all appear to be going to the East Coast. So all of them are at least 4 hours in travel. Then it's a 3-hour time zone difference, which is a bit of a hard adjustment initially. Walked from the Washington Monument to the back of the White House. I wasn't expecting to get very close, so I've shared some clips of the White House. So I'm just behind, so you've got the Monument building here, and then behind me there is the White House. I believe it's the south side of it. I'm not sure if I walk around the other side whether I'll get a better view, but like I said, I wasn't really expecting to get that close to the White House, but at least I've seen it. As you can imagine, the whole area around the White House is full of police and Secret Service all around the area, and it's pretty, you can imagine the whole perimeter is pretty well guarded. I'm going to see if I walk around the other side whether I can get a better view. Otherwise, I would definitely say for me so far, the Lincoln Memorial was probably the most impressive thing that I saw today. I'm sure I missed some other sites that are great. The other side, there is the Pentagon, but you have to, it's quite a bit away from there. There's the what else is there? There's the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial as well. There's one for the Holocaust. So it really is a lot of places to visit. So I picked what I thought I should, but recognise I could have done so much more with my time here. Glad I walked around to this other side now, because this is a much better view of the White House. So I walked from the side that was nearest to what I was calling the Monument building, to the south side, and you can see it, but it's not that great. And I believe on that side they have a Christmas tree that they have decorated every year, which also I hear looks amazing when they do that. But on this side you get much better views of the White House, as you can see. Lots and lots of people, like reporters here, lots of filming going on, which is not a surprise really. Expected that alongside all the armed police and security that they have here. So this is, I believe, Lafayette Square in front of it, and then you get the White House. Yeah, so I'm glad. I was a little bit disappointed before that tiny white building that I could see in the distance was as good as it was going to get. So I'm glad that I walked around now. The other thing that I noticed here straight away, even when I got to the Lincoln Memorial, were the protests. So I could hear one in the background when I arrived. And then even here you've got lots of people with their boards, different people shouting things out, which it's not surprising, you would expect that for the capital. So I think, unfortunately, that is it of my tour of DC. And I know I've only really just touched the surface there. I essentially Google mapped, looked at what places were really close together and just picked this area. I no doubt that I've missed some really great places that I could have gone to, but I'm hoping I've seen at least the main ones that I should have. And at least for me, I would say the Lincoln Memorial was absolutely incredible. So that for me, that whole area, in fact, between there and the monument building, there you go, the Wahington Monument, was my favourite part. And actually something I never really done on my past trips. Often I was flying in, going straight to places, and really didn't have a lot of time to go and visit. It was quite rare. If I'd got in a day before, I might have had some time. But this is definitely something I really will try to do with these trips to the US, around the US, is to really get time to go and visit the places, because ultimately it's education for me and Anne, and we don't know if Vegas is the right place for us. And me having the opportunity to visit lots of different places gives me a chance to see other places that could work for me and Anne. Now, I definitely don't think, I don't know why, but for me, I can't ever see us being in DC. I have said this to Anne, I would prefer to be on the East Coast time-wise, just because of family back home. So if I can find somewhere that we can move there, it is a place that I would prefer. Time-wise, had to quickly stop the recording there as a lady was going past with her board and she was shouting out things, and I didn't think it was necessarily appropriate for the YouTube channel at that point. So that's it for today. I'm really glad that I got these few hours just to check out the city. Let me know in the comments below if there was anywhere that I missed that I really should have gone to, so at least next time I will know to go and visit those places. Let me know, if of course, if you've been and what you think of DC. I definitely like it. I would recommend it to other people. In fact, I rarely do not recommend places to people, and if I don't, there's clearly something wrong. I love traveling, so I always see the good in places. It's quite rare that I dislike anywhere. Anyway, as I said, I'm going to continue doing these travel vlogs when I travel for work, and sharing more of the US as me and Anne get used to living here. Thanks for watching. If you haven't already, and if you've been watching our videos, please do subscribe. Don't forget to hit that like button. Thanks for watching.